Transnational crime in Southeast Asia has expanded aggressively in the region and beyond, with groups raking in profits through drug trade, human and wildlife trafficking, as well as counterfeit goods. Now, that's according to a new report by the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, or UNODC. And they have warned the growth in transnational crime is now at unprecedented and dangerous levels.
We have seen a rise in the number of criminals seeking to exploit new avenues for illicit trade and travel for their own illegal gain. Transnational serious organised crime has now established itself as a major threat to this region's security, stability and prosperity. Transnational crime endures because the criminal elements continuously adapt and evolve to their enterprises to changing circumstances. So we too must adapt and evolve.
The top problem identified in the UNODC report was drug trafficking, which has now become the most profitable illegal trade in the region. The market is estimated to be worth some $61 billion annually and has grown so large that the report says it's outpacing the ability of law enforcement to respond. 3 other transnational organized crimes were highlighted: human trafficking, illegal wildlife trafficking, and counterfeit consumer and industrial goods. Our correspondent Mei Wong has more on the key points.
This is definitely a very significant as well as a very comprehensive report. It took the UNODC about 2 years to put this report together, and this is the first report in 5 years. And some of the major developments coming out from this report is that of the synthetic drugs market. Well, that is valued at about $61 billion annually, and that is just a rather conservative figure, knowing the fact that you don't have the full data to be able to put a real figure on that. In addition to that, there are also highlights about illegal wildlife trade, illegal counterfeit drugs being proliferating here in Southeast Asia, and more importantly, human trafficking and the smuggling of migrants. Now, these are all extremely important issues that the region needs to look at very closely. ASEAN wants to expand itself. ASEAN wants to have a free flow of goods, services, as well as people in order to fuel this trade and as well as to develop this ASEAN economic community. However, the organized crime in this region is not just growing, but also seemingly benefiting from this kind of an openness within ASEAN.
The UN report says of all the organized crime types, meth trafficking is the most dangerous and profitable. It underpins the growing power of these transnational crime groups, and the drug cartels produce most of the meth in northern Myanmar in industrial-scale labs. Our correspondent Leong Wai-Kit joins us from Yangon. Wai-Kit, the UN report highlighted Myanmar's role in this transnational crime route. Tell us more about that.
Well, Glenda, I'll talk about 2 key concerns that Myanmar would be very worried about from this UN report. One, drugs, the other, human trafficking. Let's start with drugs. Now, in the northern part of Myanmar, where Myanmar and China share borders, that area has seen a spike in production of party drugs like meth. And that's because the Chinese authorities have clamped down on drug lords there, and so therefore they've crossed borders into Myanmar to produce those meth drugs there. So that's one problem. The other problem is further down where Myanmar and Thailand share borders, that area has become an important area to smuggle those drugs out of Myanmar into Thailand, into Malaysia. The third problem is these drug lords are very fast. When the authorities try to crack down on them, they change their pattern. So instead of traveling only via Thailand, they sometimes go via Laos, or they go south from Myanmar into the Andaman Sea. The other problem is human trafficking, especially trafficking women or girls for sexual exploitation. Between 2013 and 2017, the UN report says that the number of girls from Myanmar being trafficked out for sexual exploitation has doubled.
Wai-Kit, you mentioned that Chinese authorities are clamping down. So what have Myanmar authorities been doing to clamp down on these transnational crime?
Well, the big picture answer is to promote peace and to improve the economy, because if you think about it, where drug smuggling, drug production is thriving, these are thriving mainly in the conflict zones in Myanmar, because drug lords would definitely want to take advantage of the conflict areas and work with people who want to produce and also smuggle drugs out. So finding peaceful solutions for the entire Myanmar would be one way. The other thing is I want to highlight at this point, in 2018, Myanmar introduced a new national drug policy. Of course, it's still very punitive against drug lords and organized crimes, but they've taken a softer stance towards people who use drugs or abuse drugs because they want to take on a more rehabilitative format. That's one. And the other is that, Myanmar also tries to encourage poppy farmers to change their businesses into something legal, and that is something that they subsidize these farmers to do. In terms of human trafficking, really the key is to improve the economy because Myanmar already has very tough laws on human trafficking. Those who are found trafficking women or children get maximum a lifetime jail. However, Myanmar also knows that there are, if you like, push factors for these human traffickers to thrive in their trade because there's a lack of opportunities, there are lack of jobs, and there's also poverty. So one of the ways really for Myanmar to solve human trafficking problems holistically is to improve the economy.